back to this week's episode of AMA Friday with Amy Miller, Recruiting in Yoga Pants. All right, y'all asked for it. This week we are digging into the Applicant Tracking System, the bane of everyone's existence, the worst invention since the atomic bomb. Oh, it's horrible. We hate the ATS because it's staffed by robots. Ooh. Let me tell you something about ATS robots. They don't exist, okay? The closest I have come to a robot is Sherman, who's right here, hanging out on my desk with his friend Bob. Bob would like you to know something.
This would be a good place for my little squirrel to live. Let's put a few little highlights in there just to make them little rascals just sparkle in the sun.
Sparkle in the sun. If you could be hanging out on my desk listening to Bob Ross, would you rather do that or would you rather go goof around in an ATS? You already know the answer. Don't pretend. Okay. Here's the thing, y'all. All kidding aside, the ATS is basically a giant database. That's it. It is run by humans. The information is entered by people. The statuses are updated by people, and everything that goes right or wrong is because of people. Let's walk through it, shall we? Okay, so we're gonna start from the premise that someone has applied to a job. Now, somebody may also be referred, so perhaps your resume ended up in our ATS because someone who works here thinks you'd be great. Perhaps you uploaded your resume just on a whim because you just wanted to kind of a general application. You're not attached to a specific position. Those kinds of things are also possible. For today's purposes, I'm talking about someone who is attached to a role. That brings up a bunch of stuff about OFCCP compliance and things like that, which we can get into another time. Happy to answer questions about that. But for this exercise and what I'm going to walk through with you guys, a person is attached to a role. So that person is an applicant. Right here, this is them. This is the stage that they're in, okay? They are an applicant. They are in a bucket with a bunch of other applicants. I look at that list of people and they are ranked in order by date. The oldest ones are up top. New people come in one by one beneath them. Filtering, percentage matches, all of that other shit happens with human intervention. Hopefully we'll have time to get to that, but let's just walk through the workflow, okay? So you apply to a role, you applied on a particular day, that's the date, hopefully I see you, or the next day, or, you know, hopefully not too long after you apply. Depends on how many there are. But that's where you're at, okay? So you're an applicant. So now a human being like me is gonna go into this list of people organized by date and is gonna make a decision. There are two things generally that can happen upon review. Okay, I've looked at your resume and your application and everything, and I've decided to make a call. I've decided to change your status. So for those following along at home, when you log into the careers page and you might see, you know, under consideration, or, you know, there may be different ways that companies are informing you, but the idea is a real life person has made a decision, and it's one of these two things. You have either been rejected, so no longer under consideration, not a fit for the role in question, didn't answer the knockout questions correctly, whatever it may be, or we've decided we like you enough to ask for more information. So now we are going to review you. For me, this is the step where you go to the hiring manager. For other companies, other recruiters, it may look differently, but the idea is you started out in the general unviewed applicant bucket. You're going one of two directions. Sometimes you can move to a different bucket. You could be considered for another role. You could be shared with another recruiter, whatever. But generally speaking, one of these two things happens. Okay, clear enough? Now, once you have been reviewed, so for my purposes, reviewed by a hiring manager, we're going to make a couple of decisions there too. Okay? We are either going to, what do you think comes next, y'all? The interview. So we may look at that resume again, or look at any, maybe I've gotten on the phone with you at this point, done kind of a quick recruiter phone screen, something like that. But we've decided that we have enough information here and we like enough of what we see that we want more information. So we're going to go ahead and move you to the interview status. Okay. So now we may have done that review and decide that it's not a fit, which means you're back to the reject status, or ideally, we want to move you to the interview status. So once again, louder for those in the back, a person is doing this. Yeah, a real human being, not Sherman. Okay, so now you're at interview stage, okay? So at the interview stage, guess what, y'all? One of two things happens, okay? We may decide to make you an offer. Yay! That's the ideal outcome. That's what we always want. Nobody goes to an offer or to an interview thinking, gee, I really hope they don't like me and don't want to give me money. I don't think anybody says that. A human being, again, making that decision, clicking the buttons, okay? In a lot of companies, the interview process can be multi-step. You might be talking to 5 people. It looks different depending on where you're at and who you're talking to. But generally speaking, the ATS is tracking this. We have a status that says interview. This is important because if you come up in a search, another recruiter is digging around and looking, which we're going to get to in a moment, they need to know that you're already interviewing with me. So they can talk to you, but they need to call me first and give me a heads up so that we're not stepping all over each other and you don't feel randomized that 3 different recruiters from the same company are calling you and you're trying to prepare for an interview or you're waiting on an offer, okay? So having these very clear status updates and all of this data tracked for the people who have access to the information, typically HR and recruiting and select hiring managers, need to know where you're at a given time. That is the purpose of the statuses in the ATS. And once again, I will die on this hill. A person is doing it, y'all. It's not Bob.
You know, Mike, you don't get too happy to look for yourself. Because as we don't make mistakes. We just have happy accidents.
Happy accidents, just happy accidents. I have to listen to Bob all the time because some of y'all are pissing me off. Okay. You know who you are, thought leaders. So here's the thing. We are tracking this information. We are keeping ourselves informed, hopefully keeping you informed of where you're at, what the status is, and making those manual clicks in the database so that you're following this applicant journey to offer, okay? Now at offer stage, one of 2 things can happen. You can accept, yay, smiley face, or you could decline. That happens too, okay? I get it. People say no, even to me. Shocking, right? So again, this is information that is tracked where? The applicant tracking system. Exactly. Okay. Why is this important? First of all, we need that workflow. We need to actually know where people are at a given point in their journey and what I need to do next. If I've got somebody at interview stage, have I set it up? Have I put in my request to my recruiting coordinator to actually schedule the interview? At the offer stage, have I proposed numbers to my finance partner? Has this been approved yet? Is the candidate waiting on an update? All of this stuff is important, and without an ATS, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who's where doing what, waiting on which thing. I need something to keep me organized. Okay, that's where the ATS comes in. The idea that the ATS is like this mythical, genius, like HAL kind of version of an AI infused tool is crazy. Anyone who has been in an ATS and used it for work is laughing at this idea because it is so ludicrous. Okay, now, let me just explain one quick thing about the search functionality in an ATS, all right? We can run typically a Boolean search or something like that, that is going to search all of the applicants. So you've got all these people in this big bucket, okay? Then you start adding all of these requirements. You start looking for, I need somebody with Java, I need somebody with certain years of experience, I need somebody in a certain geographic location. All this kind of stuff comes into play, and that's gonna spit out results, right? So that's gonna be a smaller number, right? Maybe I've got 4 or 5 or something out of the original 100 maybe. This isn't happening here. This isn't happening on the rec you applied to. This is happening broadly in the entire database. So all the people who were at this stage, all the people that were at this stage, all the people that were at this stage, and yeah, believe it or not, all the people that were at this stage. So I can go back and search, and maybe I identify, hey, I really want to look at people who turned our offer down a year ago or more. Maybe something's changed in the last year and you're willing to talk to me now. Maybe you came on site and you didn't get an offer. I want to see those people, because if that was a close second, or your interview showed you might be good for something different, or I can prove that you might be a good shot for something different, I want to be able to find you. That's where this search stuff comes into play. Not here, not when you're applying to a role. This is for people who didn't join the company for whatever reason, but the information is in there that we can leverage for future outreach. So those are the 2 big ideas behind the ATS. Keeping track of who's doing what, when, where, and how, and going back and leveraging all of that human capital data to hopefully make hires in the future. All right. I hope that helps y'all. We are, as usual, we went over time. There's a lot more we could unpack here. I'll tell you a couple quick things just very, very quickly. People often ask me, how can we make the ATS better? Lots of thoughts on that. 2 big things. I would love something that actually synced with my calendar and allowed candidates to set up time directly with me, kind of like a Calendly or a Time Trade kind of thing. That would be amazing. Doesn't exist, at least not in any ATSs I've worked with. Some may have it, I don't. I would also love a tool that sends me reminders. Hey, this person's been in interview stage for 3 days. What's going on? Have you done what you need to do? That is something I have to constantly remind myself, or schedule my own reminders, or, set up Outlook tasks, things like that. So until the system is at least that smart, you can have several seats on everything else you think it's doing. Okay? Have an awesome weekend, y'all. We'll see you next week, where we're going to talk about who knows what, but I'll come up with something. See you later.